Hello, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of Podcast in a Tree. It's the only podcast that comes to you from a tree, delivered by, I was going to say 50%, I'd say 35% my mouth, Tim Batt.
What did you say, 35?
35 because we've got guests.
I see. And what, do I take 35 and then we allot 30% to...
I think so. It's important that we assert dominance over our guests, and that's what that 5% differential
one of the
is.
main ways you can do that in a podcast is you invite the guest to join you
Yeah.
for the record,
Yeah.
and then you start the record.
Yes.
And then they just sort of watch you starting to relax into it, have fun, enjoy yourself, find some conversational seams that maybe wouldn't have presented themselves for about 10 to 15 minutes. And then
No, thank you, Alice, not just yet.
we'll edit that out. And then, after about 15 minutes, then, they can build up some sort of, we're big dogs. We're big dogs when we're in a big tree. Build up some... No, you'll know because we'll say. Okay, so...
Keep trying, Alice. That'd be great.
Could you, maybe if you tried harder.
So let's talk about our scenario for this one, our final episode of this run of Podcast in a Tree.
That's right. We're
We're actually quite a little way away from bringing you in.
couldn't
so
have misjudged that one much more. I mean,
Thanks.
obviously, we were about to talk about the tree, not a person there.
Okay.
We are back in Owairaka. This time, we're in a different tree. I believe this must be an oak tree.
Surely.
To my knowledge, to look at the leaves.
Oh, I look at these leaves and I see oak and I say oak.
Yes, and so do I. So different spot. We're actually halfway up a very beautiful walkway that I used to enjoy. You can see now the light is breaking through the canopy.
Gorgeous.
And if you look at the ground, you see some beautiful little pools of light amongst the shade.
Gorgeous.
It is a delight. And this is actually, Tim, I didn't tell you this because this is our second podcast we've recorded on this hill.
Mm-hmm.
But the trees on this hill
are alive with the sound
of podcast.
podcasting in a tree.
And also they're mired in controversy. Did you know this?
No.
There's a lobbying group. There's two groups of people basically. There is the tangata whenua, who
The people of the land.
that's right, and it is their desire to take down the non-natives and to replant native trees and shrubbery, as is their want. And then there is a group of
Others.
They call themselves activists. I think a more appropriate term would be TERFs, who have publicly outed themselves both as being TERFs and against autonomy of tangata whenua, and they're saying, no, you can't do that. We like the trees and you'll displace birds.
I see.
And we are literally sitting in a hotbed of a situation right now.
God, this runs right across what we were trying to achieve.
Well, you wouldn't know it though, would you? And that's the thing. And I didn't even think about it until we were sitting in this tree today, and I thought, if someone does come along here, because previously
I'm not on an angle that reflects political controversy. I am on an angle that reflects paint me like one of your French girls.
And your energy does not communicate political controversy either. You look supremely relaxed.
I'm good, baby. I got these cool glasses on. You haven't said anything about that, which has been noted.
I haven't observed a single part of your outfit, but I like it. I like the block colours. I like the sunglasses. Are they new to you?
They're new-ish, but I keep not wearing them because a screw in one of the arms keeps falling out.
Good reason not to wear them. That
Brings
would
me
really
great
piss you off.
Consternation, because I feel like I'm going to lose it.
Consternation?
Consternation?
Yeah, my boy.
Hey, also, what's bringing me great constipation is my tech setup for this one. I've suspended the audio recorder using the mic cables, and I wouldn't recommend to anyone to do that. But sometimes needs must in Podcast in a Tree. But it fucking works, doesn't it?
It's scary, but it works. I mean, the amount of technical equipment that you've lugged around Auckland City to enable this to take place in the two forms that it does is commendable.
Who gives a shit? Hey, let's get to our first segment because we're actually going to switch the order slightly today.
Okay.
To make sure everything goes smoothly. So I would like to welcome to the podcast our final guest for this run, the
Podcast in a
wickedly
Tree
talented
guest on the ground,
Alice Snedden. Oh boy.
Sorry, is now the right
This is
time.
the right time. Hi, Alice.
Hi.
How's it going on the ground?
Fuck, it's so good down here, actually.
Really?
Yeah. It's incredible. Dirty and soft with a bit of moisture.
you bring with you an ailment.
Yes, I
Is that what this today's all about?
Yeah.
What can we fix?
Okay, so basically what happened is I've been getting really into physical fitness. Guy, you will have heard of it. Tim, I understand you're adjacent to it. And I have been running, and I've gone too hard too soon, and I got a shin splint in my shin. And then in order to course correct that shin splint, I've been icing it regularly. And this morning I put an ice pack on it, and then I pulled around a tea towel very tightly onto the ice pack, resulting in what I now believe to be on my leg is a series of frostbite burns.
No way.
Yeah, it's pretty
How
wild.
incredible is your tolerance for pain that you gave yourself frostbite?
Well, I guess I was like, well, it's a bit cold, but it'll be all right. But as it turns out, when I removed the ice pack, the skin was frozen, which was actually quite alarming. Like I could have snapped it in half.
Whoa.
It was, and so I ran it under the shower
Yeah.
to like literally make my skin unfreeze.
Okay.
And now I'm just left with these remaining marks, and I'm 3 hours on from this, and my calf is still cold. So I don't know what that means. I think maybe I have, maybe I'm about to lose part of my skin down there. I don't know. Excited to hear what people think.
I don't think that's the case.
You don't reckon? I've had it once before. I got frostbite once at a party in intermediate school.
Well, tell us that story now.
You know, it would never have occurred to me to hold this thought, but it is so you to have frostbite in
Yeah.
summer
I
or at a kid's party. It is just fucking right out of their books.
And
Sneddon.
I got it due to an ice holding competition. Which I was so
Too good at.
I was too good at it, and I refused to back out. And I could feel my hand in quite a lot of pain. And when I removed it, I had a large red patch that then over time went black and fell off.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I actually still have a minor scar from it.
Yeah, a callus or a scar.
Yeah, I have a callus. That although at
Do you
the
like
moment,
to touch it?
No, I don't think about it all too much, to be honest. Over the years, it's actually died down a little bit, and now you can't even really tell, except to the naked eye. This is not a intermediate school birthday frostbite injury.
I just want to poke around the tolerance of pain thing a little more, because is this just a superpower you possess with ice, where you can like handle cold on a bit of your body for ages, or in general terms, have you got a really high tolerance for pain?
I honestly think the highest of anyone I know.
What do you put that down to anything? Because some people try
Experiencing a large amount of pain.
Yeah,
You have been in a lot of pain. I also think that your
experienced a large
assumption
amount of
of yourself across various disciplines and mediums is that you would be the best amongst the people you know.
Yes, that is true. Yeah.
that is the
And
most
that's
passive way of
undeniable.
vocalizing that thought and sentiment.
But I'd say that's more of a reflection on the people I know rather
Yeah,
than
well,
my own competency as a person
that's
or an
right.
individual. I'm having both an honest, appreciation of their and my talents
Yeah,
with
yeah.
respect to each
'Cause
other.
the people you surround yourself with, that's a reflection of who you are.
Well, in most cases.
Billionaires say try as often as possible to be the stupidest person in the room, because you'll learn a lot. Alice
Yeah, I
has
found
flipped and reversed it to be the happiest person by incomparably being smarter than anyone else that she
With a
keeps
high,
company
with a higher pain threshold. Here's
With
a
a higher
woman
pain
so
threshold.
intelligent. She holds on to ice
till she gets frostbite
Yeah.
to the point of dead skin. That's smart. That's true intelligence.
honestly, I've never had an injury that I haven't made worse through my own efforts.
Wow. That doesn't feel
Do you know,
smart.
every time I'm in touch with you, I feel like you're always going to get something done to your body.
Yeah, that is true. Well, this week's been particularly hardcore for that.
Yeah.
I've had Reiki. That was incredible, I think, on reflection. Hard to tell in the moment.
Is it? Can you tell us about what that is?
Honestly, no. I'm not entirely sure myself. I understand it. I think it's the shifting of energy through your body. And they put some hands on you, but very lightly. A lot of just hovering above your body. All I know is that I
It
was
sounds
on...
kind of tantric.
Well, I was on a table for an hour and a half, and there was no talking. It's weird.
Do
It
they
is
touch
weird.
you at all? Because I thought they just
do.
can't
They
hover hands
no,
above.
they lay hands on you from time to time.
Right.
Is it?
And
Yeah. So is the experience, I mean, this is probably quite an ignorant way of trying to divide experience between physical and mental, But is it like, does it hang in the balance, or is that mostly a mental journey that you've been
I
taken
reckon
on?
it's for me. I think it was mostly mental. Yeah, other than just like I did fall asleep, so that was obviously a physical consequence of what was going on at the
Yeah.
time. And so when I woke up, I did feel like I had just had a nap, which was in fact the case. I had just had a nap.
It's your self-professed intelligence sort of exists at a crossroads of like, I feel like you are
Self-professed.
but you're aware of like, some of these things you have to approach quite holistically. Like they're easy to dismiss as woo-woo or whatever.
Yes.
And I feel like
Which you frequently do.
yeah, but I feel like in between
Yeah.
appointments,
Guy is always denigrating
Yeah.
these beautiful healing methods.
medical practices. That's
like
right. But
Reiki.
and
and other stuff.
I feel like you sort of have the cognizance to understand that angle, but then when you go and get these treatments, you sort of meet them at their level. You say, if I'm going to do this, I must
Gotcha.
totally believe in the experience.
I fully give myself over to it. Like the other thing I've had, not recently, it was about a year ago, was kinesiology, which is like tapping and like past lives and like I forget for the most part what it was, but like what I learned was that, okay, so there was one part of it, because when I do go into these sessions, I go, I'm just going to throw just whatever you want to
Give
do,
yourself
I'm
over.
fully in.
Yeah.
But she did touch me and she was like, you're dehydrated. And then she gave me a glass of water and I drank the water and she was like, now you're hydrated. And I just, in my mind, knew that scientifically that did not check out. And I really had to just go like, no, when you're in this space, you are now hydrated, and this is it.
It's difficult when it is running against information you carry with you knowing to be true.
Yes, and I do accept that there are some things that are called facts, and that and I stand by those with all of my might.
Yeah.
And no, that glass of water had made no change to my fundamental hydration at that stage. But she like kinesiology tells you like how many other people do you carry with you day to day. I don't know, it's all weird. And then they tap you and do muscle relaxation. But there is some stuff
Like
that happens.
spirits?
Like other people's energy.
Oh, okay, like baggage.
I think it's baggage, but sometimes it's not like negative emotional baggage.
It could
It's
be good.
It could be good
It
as
could be
well.
vibe.
Yeah, it could be vibe.
I
yeah.
carry vibe.
Do you reckon?
I carry guys vibe
Do you?
sometimes.
Is that bad or
No,
good?
it's a good thing most
Okay.
of the time.
Most of the time.
Who's-
We all carry vibe though, don't
Yeah,
we?
yeah.
I think we all carry a bit of vibe.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah, and then the one I had that I actually legit believe in is Chinese medicine, and I've got the name of this woman, Virginia Jin. Shout out to Virginia Jin.
Wow, okay.
Go see her. Honestly, with anything, she'll fix it.
Actually, I caught up with you semi-recently and we spoke about this exact thing and
Yes.
about the failures of Western medicine
Uh-huh.
where they sort of cast you aside as a write-off, and then you went and saw
Virginia Jin.
Virginia Jin and she was like,
fixed me.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it was
unreal.
incredible.
That's like,
Yeah.
that's Western medicine misdiagnosing someone and then you living your entire life under the belief that that's the case.
I know. Well, the story of it is that doctors told me I was infertile, and then I went to Virginia Jin, and she was like, "I'll have you right in a couple months," and then she did, and then I got other tests, and they were like, "Oh no, you're super fertile."
Whoa.
So there was a actual turnaround
That's
in the
amazing.
physiology of my body. But the methods she uses of diagnosis is taking your pulse and looking at your tongue, and then from there, the entire
Assessment gets
there's-
made.
that's
This-
the entire
I- dope as
assessment.
hell.
I don't like it when people look at my tongue. I feel self-conscious.
I felt self-conscious too. But
now we
then-
know why. It reveals everything about your current medical condition.
What,
That's right.
put your tongue out now? Yeah, I actually don't know what that means, but Virginia will know.
It looks bad
yeah,
though.
but she told me I had dampness and I was never allowed to have wet hair. And
You
I'm,
have dampness?
yeah, and I'm not supposed to go out in the rain. And
Whoa.
yeah,
Buzzy.
but honestly, I did all of that shit for 2 months, and then I was back. I was right as rain. I also had to drink this herbal tea that cost like $70 a week.
Wow.
That's,
Yeah,
that's
Worth
a
it,
lot.
though.
But it sounds like it
Fuck 'em.
worked, so
Yeah.
fair play to her. Alice, can I ask you,
No.
what's your relationship to trees? And did you fuck with trees as a child? Did you climb in them? Did you enjoy them?
That's such a good question, and
Thank you.
the answer to that is I've got no memory of ever climbing a tree.
Seriously?
But, yeah, but I imagine that it's something I did do, but I don't have any memory of being in a tree, approaching a tree for physical climbing,
Mm-hmm.
being interested in climbing a tree.
I think there's something very restorative about being in a tree, and it almost now makes me feel guilty to do the guest on the ground segment the way that we have done it, because I would
No.
like to share the joy of climbing
No,
trees.
it's important.
feel
That it's
guilty.
important the guests are on the ground.
Yeah, and I can tell you, looking at you two, I have no desire to switch places.
Right. I'm not going to read
Because of
too
the-
much into
Because
that.
of the shin splints.
Well, not just that, but I can see right now, looking at you, you've got no lumbar support.
yeah,
You're
but
barely-
look at my posture. Look at the straight line my back is in.
Sure, but that's right on the edge there. I mean, you're digging into your hamstrings right now. I can see you holding onto the trunk of that tree for goddamn dear life.
This is,
Look at
but this is
Tim.
all.
He's holding on too.
This is an interesting exercise in framing, because all of the things that you're describing, which are a problem to you on the ground, are things that I love about being in the tree. I like that you are present within your body the entire time. Like when you're on the ground, you become complacent, you become relaxed. You don't need to be
Sure.
aware of all of the moving parts. But when you're in the tree, you're living on a knife's edge, and eventually you become more confident and relaxed. I would say over the course of podcast in a tree, I wouldn't be rounding into peak tree climbing form, but I'm close to where I was as a youth.
Yeah, I hear that.
Just an enthusiastic and confident climber.
We haven't even spent that much time climbing around, but just getting in the trees again, it kind of busts off it shakes off the rust
Wow.
of climbing trees.
I think that's incredible that you've turned what can only be described as the thinnest of podcast premises
Oh, come on now.
into a positive physical outlook for the two
Now,
of you.
maybe we could unpack the description of the premise is thin. A
Yes,
little.
it is extremely thin.
What are you talking
And
about?
To a point where I do feel like the two of you have gotten so cocky as to your fan base. And this is coming from me, who runs a podcast that has no premise whatsoever.
Yeah.
But the two of you doing a podcast with the entire premise is just that the conversation will take part in a specific location.
Yes.
That's nothing.
I don't know that that's true.
Yeah, agree to disagree.
Yeah.
Well, that's true. I mean, I have not heard the content of these so far.
Well,
but I can't
think
imagine
you've
that.
got a taste of what it's like. But you know what?
It's interesting, isn't it? Because you're not wrong that there's not a lot to it, but I think that is the very thing of it.
Yeah.
And it's the same with Worst Idea. I mean, our
It's a movie
initial
review podcast.
initial show, which has garnered millions
Yes.
of downloads.
Listen, I bow
is
down to you as podcast kings, okay?
based on the simple premise of watching the same piece of content over and over
But
again.
that's what's interesting, is that you've said the simple premise. Now, I'm not describing the premise you currently have as simple. I'm saying it is lacking a premise altogether.
Ah, well, that brings us to our fantastic next segment. I'm so glad that you led me into that so organically. It's time for Drugs in a Tree.
Yeah, that's right. This threadbare podcast idea has bells and whistles like a Swiss Army knife.
It sure
Listen,
did, which is
when-
a famous device for its bells and whistles.
Uh-huh.
When you get as successful as you two are, the pitfall is that you're surrounded by a lot of yes men.
Absolutely.
And I'm just making sure that I am not another yes man in your life, who's allowing you to go off the deep end.
I appreciate
It is
that
appreciated, but
gut check on
can
the
I-
final episode of this project.
Can I say, first of all, do you find being in nature restful, like right now? Is it nice for you to be where you are?
It's really, yeah.
You seem attacked by the question.
Well, no, the issue is that I worry if I admit the truth, which is that, yes, that then a counter argument is going to come forward that I can't then defeat.
What would that counter argument be?
I have no idea. I wish not to put it forward.
I see, yeah. Well,
No, I do enjoy being in nature. That's lovely.
and I do think, and this might be self-aggrandizing, there is an ASMR quality to knowing that we're in a tree and hearing the occasional bird song, the rustling of leaves.
Sure. I would suggest,
There's
though,
dogs, incoming dogs. See, you don't get this in the studio.
That-
you
it's
sure
true.
don't. G'day, dogs. How we doing?
I would suggest to anyone at home, though, who wants to enjoy trees and likes other regular podcasts with premises, that they could choose to listen to that podcast in a tree themselves.
We have
thus-
recommended that.
We've suggested as much. What better
I
way
know.
to exploit this premise? Hi, feel free to hit on. No,
No,
please.
come
this
on
is
You're all
through.
good. You got some
public
lovely
domain.
dogs.
Yeah. Oh, hello.
Gosh, you've got so many dogs. Fucking hell.
They're awesome.
That's beautiful.
4 dogs.
God.
I mean, it's sort of
Hey,
like
mate.
nature itself is presenting counter arguments to your attack on our very well fleshed out.
Yeah,
I would
you're
like
right.
to let the steam out of what is quickly becoming a sort of argumentative tone on this podcast.
Yeah, and I
we
wish
don't
not
need
to
it.
bring that energy, although I know it naturally comes.
Alice, I appreciate someone coming in and kicking the
Well,
tires a little bit,
so-
going, "Hey guys, is this anything?" Because I'm utterly convinced it is not.
Right as we wrap up the first season.
It may well not be. But the important thing is that we fucking
did
did
it.
it.
I know, you just got to
know?
do something.
You just got to do something.
Well, it is time for Drugs in a Tree.
Yes.
And
So, first of all, because it's the final episode, it might be useful for us to recap the drugs that we've done so far. I can't remember the order exactly, but we had magic mushrooms in a tree.
we've
Wow.
done mushrooms, acid.
On the podcast.
Yep.
Yes, Alice.
So-
on this utterly thin podcast.
All right,
Ac-
I gotta say, you
acid,
got my attention.
Mushrooms, caffeine,
Yes.
sobriety, alcohol,
Marijuana.
marijuana, and now
What's it going to be for our final one?
Nicotine.
Ah, a cigarette.
my least favorite drug. I hate these things.
I love them.
I've never been a smoker. I've smoked maybe 2 cigarettes in my life, like as a teenager, or maybe if I got real drunk.
I
was
once
like, "Give me a hoon."
smoked a cigarette when I was high on an upper,
Uh-huh.
and I was like, I get this.
Yeah, I get it too.
I see this.
You get the head rush and whatnot. And so, a little behind the scenes movie magic here. We already know that we don't have a lighter.
Yeah,
It's been established.
I spoke about bringing a lighter, and then what I did is I didn't bring a lighter, and
So-
in that respect, I'm commendable.
To consume the cigarette somehow, I'm probably going to have to eat it.
You're gonna eat that?
Yes. Well, how else am I going to take
I
the
really
drug?
don't think that that's a good idea. Jesus.
Oh yeah, he's eating
it's
it.
fucking hell.
Oh yeah, I
Tim.
hate that. It's
I
gonna
want
be-
you to know that you can work in a bank, and that won't mean that you've failed. That's just another path that people go down.
Do you think that Tim looks at people in banks the way that people in banks look at Tim?
No, I think people in banks look at Tim and go, "That's living."
I might spit this out.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
yummy.
please do.
Hey, there's some liquid if you wanna
Oh.
you're gonna experience it.
Oh,
Also,
Tim.
maybe for my nicotine experience, could you please throw me that vape?
Oh
Alice?
yeah, you want the vape?
Well, I just think it makes more sense.
I know where to spit where it's not gross. Hold on.
It's gross everywhere, Tim. It's spit.
Is that kosher to pass something up from the ground?
It's
I mean,
not
surely
unheard
one of the things about being in a tree is that if you want something from the ground, you have to come to it.
We've actually Reese Matthewson. The entire episode with him was more or less a negotiation of products available on the ground and in the tree. So I appreciate this sort of bilateral agreement that we have.
Okay.
Excuse me, can we get back to me consuming a cigarette?
By all means.
That was disgusting. Are you okay?
It's really spicy.
Is
That's how I
it?
describe it, yeah. I've got a spicy kind of a feel to it. Guy looks fucked up just by smoking this stuff.
Guy.
What flavour is this?
Tobacco. But you wouldn't know it.
No, that was kind of nice. I just sucked on
Your
a
face
a
sent a
vape.
completely different message.
Well, really did.
I'd never know how to smoke vapes, and I always cough like uncontrollably after the fact. So I was
Right.
concentrating very hard on making sure that the vape went
Yeah,
down the
the
appropriate
vapour.
channels.
Yeah.
What happens here? Is this bad or good?
It's bad.
Listen, it is bad in the sense that it can give you popcorn lung, which, as I understand it, is an irreversible condition that will affect you for the rest of your life.
God.
But it is good in the sense that it dispenses nicotine at a regular.
Interval. It's
Interval.
decoupled from the horrible additives they add to a delicious edible
Yeah.
cigarette.
If it's bad for you, they shouldn't call it popcorn lung.
Yeah.
That's nice. It's a nice name.
Do you know why they call it that, guy? Because the thing that's in butter is the same chemical that fucks you up that's in the vape.
No, is that true? But butter's pure.
Man, am I right about that? I don't know. Maybe butter flavour, because I think it's
It
vitamin
must be
E.
butter flavour because
Some
butter
sort of
is just
vitamin E.
milk.
Butter is so yum.
Fuck
I-
Have
yeah.
you ever smoked it?
Smoked butter. I've
Yeah.
eaten smoked butter.
Oh.
Someone
Yeah,
has smoked
same.
butter
Got me
and
there.
then reconstituted it, but I've not smoked it. No,
I think butter is maybe the best
I
of all the things
I-
you can eat.
I-
The best of all the things.
I think so.
Fuck.
You never add butter to something and go, that was a huge mistake. You know what I mean?
you
Yeah.
can't have too much. It can make something
I
too.
find it very
fresh.
full on when people butter things like banana cake or banana bread because there's so much butter in it, and then you're putting. But
I
my
butter- I
mouth
butter
is
it.
going
I
through a
add
real
butter.
journey.
Unsurprisingly,
With that
Tim, you
cigarette.
just ate a cigarette.
Well, I spat it out. So, and do you know why I did that? Because I remembered that nicotine poisoning is a thing that exists. So I thought I'd better get it out of the old system.
There's not. I can't tell. I don't think there's enough nicotine in that cigarette to poison you.
That's good, but I've already spat it out. But it's so
How do you
gross.
feel?
It's just like a weird sensation in my mouth of kind of burning.
Yeah, interesting. Well, when I use other nicotine supplements like a spray or a thing and you put them in your mouth, they do burn a little.
Yeah, right.
So that could be the nicotine.
I don't
being
think I'll go
absorbed.
back to it. I'm not quite sure what all the fuss is about.
Well, I think you've fundamentally used the product wrong.
Well,
There's no denying
I
that.
guess I guess there's
You're
that. isn't
flying
there?
in the face of big tobacco. This is what I think of your product.
Yeah.
Alice, do you believe in horoscopes?
Yes.
What stars? You're a Leo, right?
Yeah, I am.
Leos are all about big, confident energy.
Yeah.
Lead. Man, I'm getting a head rush off of just chewing on the tobacco. It's gross. But
I'm
kinda
worried.
Cool.
I'm loving
Kinda
that
cool.
you're on this journey.
Man, it's affecting me probably more than the other drugs we've had.
Than if you just smoked it.
Can I ask, with the other drugs, did they kick on while you were in the podcast or?
Gently, we took it was a micro dose of both mushrooms and acid,
Okay.
and you could feel like you.
It was more than a microdose, I would say.
I described the onset as feeling ticklish.
Onset.
You know when it starts happening, you think, oh, this is starting to feel a little bit. I'm starting to feel a little lighter or slightly different from how I normally feel.
I feel lightheaded right now.
Yeah, that will be the nicotine rush,
I-
especially if you don't normally consume it.
Never have I
especially
ever.
so directly.
The other drugs I've kind of had a perceivable impact a little bit. My favourite was alcohol, I have to say. That beer in a tree was
That was a
fantastic.
delight. Yeah. Do you know actually?
But this is the most dangerous because this is the one, even though I'm quite close to the ground, that I could feel myself just
when
having a little
keeling
spell.
over. When we had weed in a tree.
Weed in a tree.
I had too much. I had too much.
Oh, I see.
I was by the end of the podcast. I was genuinely. I didn't bring it up on air at the
Yep,
time. I
yep.
was genuinely too stoned.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
It was
no.
not exactly to my liking.
Right.
When I do smoke, I usually very tiny little amounts.
Gotcha. In fact, I think YouTube's got a rule against cigarettes being on their video. So I wonder if eating it contravenes that or not.
Is that
We're
right?
testing
All
we're
the
testing
other
those.
shit they let on videos,
I
and
know.
Yeah, I know.
smoking's
I
the one.
bloody
Honestly,
know.
someone needs to stand up for smoking because I do feel like it gets a bad rap. Like, yes, it gives you cancer and it gives cancer to the people around you while you consume it.
Uh-huh.
But
However,
it tastes good
it tastes good and it makes you feel fine.
and it makes you feel good.
And that's nice.
And
that's
we
nice.
went through decades of propaganda convincing us that it looks cool.
And honestly, I do still
It's
think
still.
that.
It's powerful
with
propaganda.
all the information now, and the active unpacking of that propaganda, smoking still looks fantastic.
Do you know
If they
who
wanna
in
get
the
rid of-
right hands?
if
Do you know
they-
a man who was partially responsible for that, but in a big way? Edward Bernays, the nephew of Sigmund Freud,
Wow.
who used Freud's learnings in psychology. He would read all of his work and then apply it to a branch of
Advertising.
commercial psychology he invented called public relations. Why did he call it that? Because Nazis gave propaganda a bad name. His words, not
Wow.
mine. And he devised a plan when he was contracted by, from memory, British American Tobacco, who said, we need to make more money. We're making a lot of money here. We need to make more. He said, all right, who's not smoking? Women. So what he did is he devised a plan where he got a bunch of New York City
Ally?
debutantes. Exactly. The original ally. These debutantes were placed in a parade. I can't remember what it was. Maybe some Marines returning or something like that. There was a big parade in New York City, and he said, I'm going to arrange a bunch of journalists. I'm going to give you some cool catchphrases to describe what you're doing, and I want you all to light up a cigarette, but I want you to call it a liberty torch when you do it, and it's going to be an act of feminism. And he did, and then women started smoking, and British American Tobacco made a lot of money, and a whole lot of people died.
Doubled their market share.
Fast forward, whatever, 50 years, 60 years,
Tim
70
Batts eating a
years.
cigarette in a tree.
Yeah, incredible stuff.
So in many ways, you are also an ally, Tim.
I would love to draw that line.
Well-
Whoever's in charge of public relations for fedoras
Mm-hmm.
needs to be hired by the government to be in charge of public relation for cigarettes.
That is
Because
an outstanding idea.
Because honestly, I do think that would cure it.
Yeah.
If smoking had the same, it was the same as me wearing a fedora,
Yes.
then I would not go near the thing.
Can I please, while we're talking hats and we're talking fedoras, can I please open the floor to the conversation of cheese cutters?
Sure.
And
Made by Montgomery. The floor is yours.
Are cheese cutters the new fedoras? I'm seeing them pop up everywhere. They look as ridiculous, but in an exciting new way.
I'm not confident I know what they are.
Like one of these.
It's like a train driving. It's like
yeah,
the flat
like a
cap
bus
with a
driver's
very
hat.
small peak.
Yeah,
I
gotcha.
do weirdly. I have a theory that no one can pull off a fedora. No person I have ever seen ever wear a fedora pulls it off. Occasionally, I've seen a person in a cheese cutter.
Oh, yeah.
And gone, good for you.
Really? What's the percentage point on that?
Probably, I would say like 1%, and you have to be a bald man.
Okay.
A man, first off.
Yeah,
Bald,
and there
secondly.
is a gender divide.
What is
Is
it?
there an age?
Probably you have to be above 40 and below death.
And can you describe for me the rest of the wardrobe? Can they wear it with like a t-shirt and shorts? Or do they have to be?
No, I think
it's a
you've got to
whole
be in
ensemble,
like a
isn't it?
cardigan and like
it's
a
a whole
check shirt,
Yeah,
some khaki
patches.
slacks.
Oh, god damn it. Patched jacket.
Yeah, and maybe you smoke a pipe or something.
Yeah.
You know, like you can't wear it with a pair of Billabong board shorts and a t-shirt and have it had the same effect.
You need a more Dickersonian
You
look to
you
pull
look-
off a cheese cutter.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because if you do wear it with, say, Billabong board shorts and a t-shirt or whatever, you look confused.
Yeah.
But in many ways, also, you're communicating a confidence that you know what you like to wear, and
I don't know about that.
external standards be damned.
Now, this is the interesting thing about fashion. The fine line between that person looks out of their right mind or that person looks very fashion forward is such a thin one, isn't it?
It can be.
I think it's got a lot to do with the gait of your walk. It's a little theory I've been
Go
working
on.
on. I think you can. There's so much assessment we make based on the gait of someone's walk, and I think, without leaning too much into stereotypes, useful. There is a lot of information you can glean from watching someone walk around, I think.
Can I ask what is a good gait in terms of wearing clothes?
I don't
Like
know.
if you wanted to be able to wear whatever you wanted to wear,
Yeah.
what then is the ideal gait to have?
I think it's like good posture without being over the top, like you're a puppet, like a Thunderbird. But also you want to have a little bit of pace when you walk so you look like you've got direction in your life.
Wow, that's interesting.
I don't know if it's true, but it's something I'm cooking up.
I love.
I also
love
feel like I'm going to vomit from the
observe-
cigarette.
Oh,
Okay, well,
Tim.
maybe this is a good time to introduce the next segment. Also, I've got an eye on the clock,
Oh, yes.
and we've got to race through this.
I've lost all
Traditionally,
perception of time
you
down to
might
the nicotine,
you might
I think.
remember sandwiches in a tree. You might also remember slice in a tree, and guess what? It's back.
It's back, baby!
And it's better than ever. Now, in this bag, Tim,
Yep.
I have something that was described as a cookies and cream slice.
Alice, you are going to take a back seat on this segment.
and
I'm
something
so
that's
sorry to
called
say.
a chocolate brownie. Actually, guess what?
What?
Alice, for you, in a world first,
Holy shit.
slice on the ground.
This is a real
Wow.
act of camaraderie
Incredible.
That's
You
right.
egalitarianism.
don't even want to share it?
I don't want to know about it. Tim's taken the cookies and cream. I'm left with chocolate brownie, and Alice has got a traditional ginger slice, which I believe is gluten-free. If
I've
you care about that
Been
sort of
trying
thing.
to eat as vegan-ish as I can in as many situations as I can, and this flies in the face of it, and I am loving
You
it.
know what'll be doing a lot of the heavy lifting there is the butter.
The butter.
How's the ginger slice?
Alice, it looks like it's not good.
It's quite gingery.
Too gingery.
But, well, it's hard to know because I think if you were a person who enjoyed ginger slices, you'd go, well done.
Does it taste tobacco-y at all? Because it has got that kind of same spice, Ginger root.
It doesn't taste tobacco-y,
Just
but
yours-
it does have a spicy after.
Tim, does yours
I'm
taste
having
tobacco-y?
Weirdly, this does taste a bit tobacco-y to me.
I suspect that has almost nothing to do with the slice itself.
I guess we'll never know. There's simply no way to tell. It's very delicious, though.
Would you recommend tobacco as a condiment and or a
Do you know
spice
what?
for future meals?
I wouldn't be against it because I think the thing people get wrong about drugs, since we're sort of the way that the segments work on here, Alice, as well, is that we open the gate and then it's a babushka doll of segments. So we are
I can see
within.
there are infinite possibilities. Now that I'm in the middle of this podcast,
We're within guest on the ground, but we've also opened the door to drugs in a tree, and now we haven't closed any doors, but we've kicked the door open for slice in a tree as well. And I think, if I can hark back to drugs in a tree, dosage is the thing that people get wrong on drugs all the time. That's what people are messing up a lot. And I think if you were to use tobacco as a little spice and sprinkle it in the right amounts, it might add a little something to your meals.
That's what a spliff is. You use the tobacco as seasoning for your main dish of marijuana.
I never thought that the tobacco was a seasoning thing. I thought that was more about making the weed last longer.
That is true
same.
for some people as well. It's different. People have different relationships.
Right.
Right. Do it.
Fatten it out a little bit.
God, I haven't smoked weed in so long.
Do you
Do you
like
miss
it?
it?
I do love weed. Yeah, I do. I had one bad experience with it where I was convinced that I was going to kill the two people I was with.
That's right.
And so from that point forward, I thought, oh, that's probably not something I want to do again. But then I had like a 2-year break, and now I can really enjoy it.
Have you
Ever killed? No.
You don't have to answer this, but have you ever experienced psychosis to any scale, you think? Because that seems like
I
a
would-
limited version of it.
I think that's the closest I've ever come to having some form of it. But what I've since learnt about that is it's just basically.
Do you want me to hold the mic?
It's,
I can do that.
You keep talking, please.
it's just basically intrusive thoughts, which lots of people get.
Absolutely.
You know, and now if that happened to me, I'd just be like, oh, look at this.
Well, yes, but without adequate training, you don't want to open that door with drugs. If you're already having a hard time with certain things, you don't want to just keep opening doors.
Well,
eh?
I had no idea, but I did manage to fix it by going into my bedroom, barricading my door with pillows, and watching Full House until I fell asleep. And that really seemed
the
to
new one or
solve
the
it.
old one?
The old.
Yeah.
Was it
Guy
funny?
hold it. Sorry
Not
for
that I
our
can
listeners. Guy
remember.
just said, "Is it funny?"
I can't remember. I don't think I was trying to take it in. I was just going, good, wholesome family content.
I'll never forget the episode where the Tanners, or a couple of the Tanner girls, I think, accidentally wound up in Auckland, New Zealand when they were supposed to take a flight to Oakland, California.
Oh,
Before Lord of the Rings came on the scene, New Zealand would applaud and our stock market would go up every time New Zealand got a mention on a TV or
Can I just
movie.
say on that topic, earlier this year, or within the last 6 months, I went and saw Heat, Michael Mann's film Heat, in a cinema, and when Robert De Niro, we're all adults now. Everyone in the cinema was adult. When Robert De Niro spoke about potentially moving to New Zealand in the middle of that movie,
My God.
raucous cheers and applause across the
No,
entire cinema.
actually?
Yes, and I was like, this is a powerful moment of civic pride. While we're literally watching America shit the bed, the fact that they know and knew then that we exist is enough to send us into rapture.
Every
Oh,
time I would
God.
read Alice in Wonderland, I would give a little cheer when New Zealand was mentioned. That was supposedly on the other side of the world when you go through the whole. It was,
right.
I think someone was talking about, like, if you go through, the other side of Britain, you wind up in New Zealand. Apparently not accurate. You wind up in. Do you know where? Does anyone know where?
Well, when you go through the other side of the world.
Yeah, like
is it
our
not
opposite.
China?
People
From-
said
from-
China for so
From
long.
here,
It's not true.
From here,
Yeah.
Portugal.
Yeah. Okay.
Is
I was going
it?
to say
It's
Argentina.
Portugal.
But yeah.
No, it's Portugal,
Right.
and in some places Italy.
Wow.
Wow, that's beautiful. And we are in many ways a mirror image of both
Chuck
Portugal
that
and
mic
Italy.
up a little bit if you
Oh,
be so
sorry.
kind, Alice.
Sorry.
Never apologise to me. It actually weirds me out. I don't
What,
think
that
that's
I'm
it.
apologising specifically, or that
To
somebody
me.
apologises to you in general?
When you specifically apologise to
Let's
me.
unpack that.
I don't think that's our dynamic.
Oh my God, what is that?
I don't think that's our dynamic at all.
All right, guys, it's time to get into our final segment for this final episode of Podcast in a Tree. And that is, of course, our treater board.
Let's open another door.
We've graded all of the trees we've been up so far out of 24 across 5 criteria.
You've been up 24 trees.
No.
Oh.
Each tree has been graded out
Sorry, I
of 24.
wasn't listening.
We've been up 7 trees. This is our 7th tree. And before we start ranking it, Alice, I need you to name this tree.
Any name I like.
Yeah,
The Tree of Life.
Oh,
incredible.
Hell
Sorry, I'm
yeah.
getting a call. Hold on.
okay. You can take that.
You can take it on mic,
It is my electrician. Do you mind if I take it?
please,
Good.
but talking to the microphone.
Sure. Hello. Hey, how you going? Oh yeah, just shut the door behind you. Don't worry. I'm gonna be home in probably about an hour or so, and there's nothing to steal. Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much for doing all that. And will you just email me an invoice? Okay. Thank you so much for fitting us in. I really appreciate it. All right. Cheers. Bye.
Now, Alice.
We
That
grade the
fucking
phone.
guy.
Can we grade the phone manner before we grade the
Can I
tree?
say, was that performative phone manner?
No, that's my phone manner.
Jesus Christ, you're a
Impeccable.
delight to talk to.
God, yeah.
Literally unbelievable.
Where
to
was
me.
that guest? How do we book
Yeah,
her?
yeah. I want to tell that electrician what you're like. After that put down, I realised I've thrown the bag down too early.
Oh, no.
There's a pen I really need out of that bag.
Isn't it awful when you paint yourself into a corner by taking swipes at people and then realise you need their help?
Alice, I thank you so much.
No, listen,
Alice
that's
is
fine.
the bigger person.
I am in many ways, but I know that my phone manner is. I mean, it's like that because he's doing a great job. You know, I have nothing but absolute praise.
You
for
don't
him.
know about the job he's done.
No, I know this guy.
Have you ever worked in service industry where you've had to do phone calls? Call centre
My
work or
my
anything like
first
that?
ever job, I was selling car cleaning products by phone.
Successful?
No, not at all. I lasted 48 hours in the job and then I
Fucking hell.
quit.
Gutted.
Yeah, no, it was terrible. But I do think I do have a good phone manner. I don't know why. I'm definitely
you-
way more pleasant on the phone than in
You
real
were
life.
raised with very good manners.
I
right?
wasn't. I really
Oh.
wasn't, I don't think. In fact, I'd say that manners is something that I occasionally get called up on.
Huh.
Yeah, even though I do make a real effort.
I think you've got good manners for whatever it's worth. Tree of
you.
life.
I think you're confident. Now, we've got 5 criteria. We're going to blitz through these guys because it's not really nice for the podcast listener to know, but we are collectively in a minor rush.
Oh, I see.
Uh,
Oh, we are.
yes. So, first criteria is natural beauty. Alice, you're on the ground. You've got a great perspective of this. What do you make out of 5 of the natural beauty of this oak tree?
I'm going to give it a 3.5.
Done.
Okay. Why?
No, no,
oh.
no.
Okay.
Just one sentence.
Nice girth, but lowish height.
All right, wonderful. 3.5 out of 5. Tim, you're up on the branches there. Can you tell me about the climbability of this tree out of 5?
It is a 3.5, once again, out of 5.
7 out of a possible 10 so far. Alice, talk to me, baby. The health of this tree. How healthy is this tree?
That's such a good question. I would say some of these branches seem a little limp for my liking, but that might be the length that they're extending, and some of this bark is coming away. So I'm going to give it a healthy 3.5.
Incredible. Really
Yeah.
great number there. 10.5 out of a possible 15 so far. And Tim, rest and relaxation.
Monty, I couldn't possibly. You need to determine this one.
Well, I'm neither rested nor relaxed, but that's just because of the branch I'm on. As Alice astutely observed, there's no lumbar support. I'm just out here on a branch on my own doing my
Therefore-
best. But I enjoy that. I see other options. They're just not where I'm at right now. 2.5, which means that
12.5?
12
Oh, no, 13, sorry.
13 out of possible 20. And then the final 4 is X Factor.
Out
Does
of
this
4.
tree bring it? Out of 4.
Are you asking me?
Yeah, this
out of
is
4 for X Factor.
Star Power, X Factor.
Look at all these dogs. No,
Yeah,
oh my God, don't be.
please, don't worry at all.
don't-
You're doing the
silly.
right thing. We're doing the wrong
Yes.
thing. Yeah.
There's a myriad of dogs.
Yes, there are. Do you own all of these?
Oh,
dog
Oh
nice.
my
walker.
God, I
They're
didn't even know that was
beautiful.
a job in New
Beautiful
Zealand.
dogs.
Incredible.
Yeah.
God, they're beautiful dogs.
Incredible army of dogs.
And what I like about it is you're not holding on to a single. I love it. Beautiful dogs. These are great, well-behaved
Actually,
dogs.
can we ask you a question? Out of a possible 4 points, what would you rate the X factor of this tree?
Here you go. You can speak into that.
Of 4 points.
Yeah.
I think it's a pretty good tree.
Yep.
It's not pretty nice. Let's give it 4.
4. 4,
Huge.
fantastic.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate
you
it.
so
Appreciate it.
much.
What's your name? Ruby. Have a
Ruby.
wonderful walk, Ruby.
Thank
Lovely
you,
to
Ruby.
meet you.
Yes,
You
you,
too.
too.
Appreciate you.
See you, dogs. You got to go, man.
So that means our grand final score for this final tree, the Tree of Life,
Off you
is
go, mate.
17 out of 24.
Which places it?
places it, bumping it in front of Manual Door.
Oh.
This tree is the 3rd best tree we've been up.
Oh, I think I'm going to vomit soon. What's the ranking then?
So,
Let me hold the leaderboard while you talk to it. I'll get it in shot.
I'm just
sorry,
gonna
if you're completed.
I'm going to correct a typo I made.
Oh, I see. How would you rate this episode so far, Alice?
Oh, I've got nothing to compare it to with regards to the other episodes. I would say this. On my performance, I feel like I didn't bring as much energy as I could have to it.
Bullshit.
But that's in large part because I have just had a midi-midi, which is another
We
body
simply don't have the
healing
time. We simply don't have the time. So, folks, here it is. The treatable guy. Talk us through it.
Sitting up top, you've got Walter, 19.5 out of 24. Literally cannot remember which tree Walter was. I
Neither
think
can
it was
I.
maybe the first tree we were in.
Okay.
Second place, Susan with Angela Driver. Third place, Tree of Life with Alice Snedden.
Based
Manual
off the
Door
film.
with Joseph and Laura. Fourth, 6-6 with Pax Asades. And fifth on 16 out of 24. The tree National. No, 6-6 was with Angela. National was with Pax. And then languishing in the bottom spot with Reece Matthewson's. Look at this fucking tree. 7.5 out of 24.
Jeez.
A miserable performance.
Folks, that has been our inaugural run of Podcast in a Tree. Thank you so much for joining us for it. Alison, thank you for being a guest. And we truly have to get the fuck out of this park.
That's right. Happy. It's just, you got to be happy, guys.
Be happy.
Be happy.
Bye, everyone.